Good Friday morning. We made it to Friday, the weekend just about here, and we're glad you're here for this edition of the Weather Desk. It's today's weather, the top headlines from across the region, across the country, and today we're going to include a couple things going on in outer space and something really cool from another part of the planet, so you can say around the world as well. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. It's been my pleasure to do the Weather Desk for you for months and months now. We've been doing this, and you can find us here on the 13 News Now Plus app every Monday through Friday. And again, just all kinds of fun topics where we take a deeper dive into these topics. Let's talk about what we're going to get into today. And we're going to start off with our first thing. We've got another big storm system that is impacting the East Coast. It is going to be a wet one across much of the East Coast. There's some snow for the Northeast and some big storms, as I'll show you, down across the Southeast. That was last night. And now this morning, I'll show you where all of that is headed. In addition, we're going to talk about this. Could springing forward and falling back really come to an end? You know, this is something that's been debated for a long, long time, but it's kind of coming to a head, and Congress is taking a close look at that. It's something that the administration's been talking about, and we're going to get into that and how that debate is going. And then our next topics, well, this is going to get kind of interesting. I think, first of all, we're going to be talking about a new space probe that is going to be able to track deforestation. So we're going to take a look at this new technology. And this last thing, I just love this. New babies born that only a mother could love. And I will explain just what I'm talking about. I know that sounds kind of mean, but I think when you see what I'm talking about, you'll probably get it. Some of you might think they're cute, but I think a lot of you go, okay, Craig, I get it, I get it. We're going to start off, though, by tracking this system. And I got to tell you, the rain is finally moving out of the Tennessee River Valley. Now, floods spanned from Kentucky and Tennessee, Indiana and Arkansas. All of that was tracking eastward. The catastrophic rainfall and destructive tornadoes killing more than 20 people. That was all over the past several days. Major flooding was not expected to really die down for days, and emergency management officials are still telling residents to stay in those higher areas until they're able to return to their homes. Those systems have moved out now to the East Coast, as I mentioned, and we are going to continue to see improvements in the central U.S., but we're dealing with that wet weather now, and I want to talk about that. So let's take a look at what's going on with this storm system right here. You can see across the area more rain out to our west, areas of heavy rain back across central and western parts of the Commonwealth, back up to right along the Virginia-Maryland border. We've got a pretty heavy cell right there. Got to tell you, though, earlier it was down across the deep south that we had. Look at this line of storms, so powerful, rolling along. And as you can see again, that line producing some very heavy rain and some pretty gusty winds. Let's take a closer look at that. I want to take that full because I'm going to get over and manipulate the radar a little bit. So as we do take a look, again, you can see this area picking up a lot of intense rainfall. When you see those winds moving along and this stuff kind of bows out a little bit, you see these cells right here, that generates a lot of wind. And that's the type where you look at winds gusting in excess of 55, 60 miles per hour, sometimes higher than that. That system all rolling along. So that is no longer an issue down for the southeast U.S. What we are going to deal with now is the potential for more rain here. So if the director could take me, but there we go, okay, back on camera here. I wanted to show you this stuff here kind of arcing out now. We're going to see some enhanced rainfall across the mid-Atlantic. We're talking maybe a half an inch to an inch. So not a great potential for flooding, but there could be some locally higher amounts, and there is some potential for some issues with some runoff. As you go farther north, you have more rain as well, just a little farther to the north up into Maryland. I mentioned in the D.C. area, they're kind of on the edge of it, but look at this heavy cell that is developing just off to the east and to the southeast there. That's going to rotate up and through. So I would say D.C. up to Baltimore, certainly fair game for some heavier rain a little bit later today. Showers are extending from Delaware up through New Jersey, and you can see it extends farther north up towards New York. Light showers so far, and then as you go farther to the north, you pick up some snow mixing in with that precipitation. So cold enough to support that snow farther to the north. Back towards the Great Lakes region, snow on the backside of the system and more rain with some more energy back here over western parts of New York State, back towards Buffalo. So it's a large storm system, and I mentioned that severe weather threat yesterday. That was down in this area. We were watching for those strong storms. You saw those gusting winds and that outflow with those storms. That's what we were looking at there. Today, we have that severe weather threat, and this is identified by the Storm Prediction Center as a level 1 of 5. We call it a marginal risk for severe storms. This is for North Florida, including Jacksonville, areas just off back towards the Big Bend area, and then you come up the coast, right along the Georgia coast, and up to the South Carolina coastal areas through eastern North Carolina, and that does include Hampton Roads. So we'll come up, take a little closer look at this. Poquoson, Hampton, also Newport News, all under this level 1 threat. Back to the west, all of Southside Hampton Roads, Surrey, Sussex, back down through Emporia along I-95, and all of eastern North Carolina. It's not a guarantee we're going to see severe storms, but the potential is there. I think we could see a few isolated strong to potentially severe storms. So we've got to watch for that as we go through the afternoon. And there's going to be a window, I would say, sometime maybe between 3 and, say, 6 o'clock or so. That would be the best opportunity we would have for those strong to severe storms in our area. Now, as we take a look at the tornadic threat, you'll notice for Hampton Roads, it's minimal. We're not outlooked for much of a threat there. Our primary threats right here in Hampton Roads would be for some gusty winds more than anything else. Maybe a little bit of hail, but it doesn't look like that would be a great threat either. I think the main threat would be gusty winds, just outflow from some stronger storms that do develop. But down to the south, once you get down around the Albemarle Sound and areas south, it's not a great chance, but there is a little elevated risk for potential spin-ups or rotations with some of these cells. So could there be an isolated tornado? Well, there could be down to the south. We'll watch for that. But again, for most of the Hampton Roads area, we are not outlooked with much of a tornado threat. So that's certainly good news. Now I want to talk to you about the flood outlook because I already showed you some of that heavier rain that was occurring across northern and eastern portions of Virginia. As you look, there is some potential. Again, it's a level 1 threat. So it's not a great threat, but we do have this risk for some locally heavy rain, and there could be a little bit of spotty flash flooding in some areas if we do get some really heavy rain. So we're going to be watching for that as well throughout the day. That's why it's so important to stay weather aware and keep checking back with us here at 13 News Now. We'll keep you updated if there's anything that does develop. If it becomes a bigger issue, we will have you covered right here from 13 News Now, our studios in Norfolk, and we'll let you know. That risk for flash flooding extends all the way out through the Piedmont. You can see I-85, I-95, Richmond up towards Charlottesville. We've got to be mindful that we could see some very heavy rain. So that's how things are looking. Now, as far as the flood threat goes through the weekend, not going to be an issue. I did want to tell you, though, this is not in and of itself a terrible thing. We could still use a little bit of rain across parts of the region. This is the latest drought monitor, and this was released yesterday. They come out every Thursday morning. So the latest drought monitor, which was just released yesterday morning, shows the extreme to exceptional drought down across parts of central and southern into western Texas and back through the southwest U.S., southern New Mexico, Arizona. This is all area under extreme to some areas exceptional drought. There's also some very dry areas through the north central U.S., the Dakotas, back into Nebraska, parts of Wyoming. Here on the East Coast, as we take a little closer look, we'll zoom in and show you that we do have moderate drought down along the Albemarle Sound. So again, soaking rain, a benefit to our area. We could use a little bit more, especially down to the south. Now, most of Hampton Roads is actually in pretty good shape, so we don't have to worry. It's not like there's a major deficit here, but a little bit of rain down to the south, not a bad thing. All right, as we take a look at our chances for rain, we've got the rain out there this morning through midday. We're already seeing it on the radar. You'll notice as we go later in the afternoon and into the evening, our chances start to go down. The models are kind of moving this along, and it looks like we will be drying out later this evening and into the overnight. There will still be opportunities for isolated showers, though, as we go through the day tomorrow. And while it's not as great on Sunday, there could even be a lingering sprinkle early Sunday morning. Things will clear out after that. As far as futurecast rainfall goes, you can see anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch around Norfolk. You can see 1 to 2 inches West Point to Richmond, over to Malfa, Tappahannock. These are some of the areas that had that slightly elevated risk for flash flooding. Down to the south, this is the area that could use more, maybe a ½ inch to an inch around Elizabeth City and Edenton, a little bit less down at Kill Devil Hills. So the areas that really need the rain down to the south, probably not getting quite as much, but the bottom line is I still think most of the region is going to deal with a nice soaking rain, so we'll certainly take that. Now, that's general ranges, okay, and that's taking a look at the RPM. I want to show you the graph model, and this will put some specific numbers to it. And don't get too hung up on it, but it's another model giving you a sense, you know, say 3/4 of an inch to an inch in Norfolk, about a ½ inch Virginia Beach over to Chesapeake, 3/4 of an inch in Newport News, an inch and a half up around West Point. So very much in line with what the other model was showing. I just wanted to give you a little bonus look at a couple different models here projecting rainfall. I can tell you all the models do bring us some rain for today. So we're going to deal with that. But again, if you've got outdoor plans later this afternoon or tonight, there's some hope that we're going to get through this and you'll be able to enjoy a better evening. So hang in there. Let's talk about what's going on for the weekend. Saturday, cloudy or at least mostly cloudy and cool. A few isolated showers will be possible. 55 the high on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be a lot of rain, but there could be a few isolated showers out there on Saturday. On Sunday, very low risk of a stray shower in the morning, only 20%. We're going to start off with some clouds, and then as we go later in the day, it's going to clear out. We're going to welcome more sunshine in. Highs on Sunday near 61. So decreasing clouds, obviously staying cool through the weekend. Our normal highs in the upper 60s for this time of year. So that's a look at our weekend preview. Now, I wanted to give you some more weekend getaways and some of the destinations like D.C., 51 degrees, looking good. You can see in Richmond, Charlottesville, the Outer Banks, temperatures all in the low to mid 50s. This is cool for this time of year. We're normally warmer than this. So yeah, it's chilly, but most areas will be drying out as we go through the day Saturday. And then on Sunday, you can see all of these little getaways for Hampton Roads, all looking pretty good with more sunshine, especially later in the day on Sunday. All right, let's talk some more about the weekend and give you a kind of a bigger picture here for the country, because I know a lot of you may be joining us from different parts of the country. So let's take this full so you can get a good look at this, and we'll get into it. Take a quick look here at the East Coast. So I take a quick sip of water here. All right, rain for New York City on Saturday. Boston 39 with some rain snow mix. Down in Atlanta, beautiful. New Orleans 75, 79 in Orlando. So looking good there. As we take a look back across the central U.S., you can see the temperatures going to be in the mid 80s around Oklahoma City, Dallas, Houston. That's where your heat is. You look at Little Rock, 73, sunshine, 66 in St. Louis and 61 in Chicago. Omaha, windy and 81. Out to the west, you can see California, not looking bad. San Francisco, 64, 91 in Vegas. There's some heat. 73 in Salt Lake, and up in Billings, Montana, 60 degrees with rain showers there. Denver looking good at 87. Want to talk to you about Sunday. Again, look for more sunshine. Raleigh back to Atlanta. Orlando looking great. New Orleans looking great. Some more clouds off to the north, but most of the areas should be dry. And I think those showers up around Boston or earlier in the day, they should be in better shape later on. As we take a look at the central part of the country for Sunday, I mentioned the heat building. Check out these temperatures. 94 in Oklahoma City, 91 in Dallas, 87 Houston and Little Rock, St. Louis at 83, and temperatures close to 70 up around Minneapolis. Again, a few showers there off to the north. As we look out west, temperatures also warming up again. Phoenix 94, 68 in Denver, a chance for a stray shower or storm there. San Francisco looking great at 71 and 66 in LA. So that's a look at your weekend. Now, one of the great things to do on a weekend, maybe take that stroll at sunset. And I don't know, this debate's been going on. We've certainly had it a lot here at 13 News Now about whether you like the extra light in the evening or whether you like more light in the morning. I kind of like those later sunsets. At any rate, there's been a lot of discussion. It's been over a month since we sprang forward to daylight saving time, but there's a new push in Congress to lock the clocks and stop our springing forward and our falling back tradition altogether. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
If I could turn back time.
A nod to Cher's iconic 1989 hit, as lawmakers try to find a way to permanently turn back the clock on changing our clocks.
I am somewhat disappointed in your excellent remarks that we did not get you belting out the chorus of Cher's "If We Could Turn Back Time."
I told you, it is something that peps us up. We need the energy.
Yesterday, a Senate committee tackled the daylight saving debate with bipartisan support for ending the twice-a-year clock change.
The American people are sick and tired of changing their clocks twice a year. It's confusing, unnecessary, and completely outdated.
Daylight saving time begins in March when clocks spring forward an hour. It ends in November when the clocks fall back an hour, returning to standard time. The issue for lawmakers, which do you stay on? Daylight saving time would mean darker mornings in the winter. Atlanta wouldn't see the sunrise until almost 9 a.m. in January. Staying on daylight saving time would mean sunlight later, which doctors say can disrupt sleep, leading to health issues.
Peer-reviewed studies consistently show that heart attacks go up, strokes, car crashes, even miscarriages spike in those days following the spring switch. A study from the University of Vienna found deaths overall just increased by 3% in those couple of days after the change.
President Trump has also suggested stopping the clock changing, calling it inconvenient and costly, but some are in favor of the biannual change.
Changing the clocks twice a year is relevant to road safety first and foremost because it affects the amount of ambient light during peak times for travel. We know that darkness is associated with increased risk of fatal crashes.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how all of that does play out. I know it's been something that's been talked about for a long, long time. All right, I want to turn your attention to something that's finally happened back here in the Pacific equatorial waters. We are officially done with La Nina. We're in between a La Nina and an El Nino, okay? In this case, we call it La Nada, or the neutral phase of the El Nino Southern Oscillation. So this is something that, again, we take a look at the surface water temperatures here in the equatorial Pacific and off the coast of Peru. It fluctuates, and that impacts all of the weather patterns. And when we have strong La Ninas, we can have more active hurricane seasons. When we have strong El Ninos, we can have more disrupted hurricanes. When they try to form, they get disrupted and blown apart, and we actually have less intense hurricane seasons here in the Atlantic. So this is something we do watch, and again, it's gone away. We're now in the neutral phase, and it looks like we're going to stay in this neutral setting, okay? This is perhaps going to help influence our hurricane season. Of course, we look at droughts, floods, and other things with the global temperatures. NOAA is forecasting this neutral or La Nada phase to last through most of, if not all, of 2025. So it will make some of our longer term forecasting a little bit trickier because in an El Nino, we have patterns that we look for, and in La Nina, we have patterns that we look for. And now that we're kind of coming into this in-between phase, we'll have to just look to other indicators. But this is something that we will be watching. It looks like La Nada is going to be with us for a while. Now we're going to turn our attention to something that is going to watch, I guess, again from space. We're heading out with a new space probe that's going to launch here into Earth's orbit this month, and it's going to help map the carbon content of tropical rainforests in some of the world's most remote areas. Take a look. A new radar scanner will be attached to the Biomass space probe, and after its planned launch on April 29th, will orbit the Earth for several years, collecting data on the most dense rainforests around the globe. The scanner will gather data on carbon storage in the forest and measure the effects of deforestation and climate change. Scientists working on the project say this work is important and necessary for developing conservation strategies and informing climate policy.
Care about the forest. The forest is the lung of our planet, and what we are particularly interested in is to get information on the flow of the the carbon cycle flow. So what we want to measure is how much of the fossil fuel that is burned and produces CO2, how much of that goes into the forests and stays there and is captured. And we do several maps over the years in order to see the changes. That is the main goal of the mission.
All right. Well, we have an update from North Carolina where a dead humpback whale has washed ashore on the Outer Banks. Officials with North Carolina's aquarium say the whale is floating in the surf near Shad Street in Corolla. A preliminary report found that the whale, it was a juvenile female. If conditions are safe, wildlife officials hope to perform an external exam and necropsy to find out why the whale died. And this is kind of a bumper here, but this is kind of amazing. This turtle. The St. Louis Zoo announced Thursday that one of its oldest animals has died. Othello, a centenarian, Aldabra, I'm going to get this wrong. Aldabra, that's right, giant tortoise, was humanely euthanized on Tuesday due to declining health from a gastrointestinal issue. Zoo staff put him down. The zoo didn't know his exact age, but experts estimate he was well over 100 years old at the time of his death. The tortoises take several decades to reach full size, and Othello arrived in the U.S. as a mature adult in 1938. Other giant tortoise named Ray joined the zoo with Othello in 2004, and Ray still lives at the zoo and can be seen by the guests. But being a St. Louisan and having a lot of pride in our St. Louis Zoo, I know Othello was super cool to see, and that would be something as a little kid I would see him. My parents were like, oh, that turtle can live to be 100 years old, and he did. That's Othello. All right, now to that face only a mother could love. There you go. Check that guy out. The Australian Zoo in Queensland, 3 new members were welcomed. Take a look at these newly hatched baby Komodo dragons. After 214 days of waiting, the first baby hatched. Look at that little guy. All right, he looks cute now, right? Well, wait till he gets big. The zoo was founded by the late conservationist Steve Irwin and his wife, Terry. Says the babies are now being carefully monitored and cared for round the clock. Komodo dragons are the largest lizard species in the world, native to just 5 islands in southeast Indonesia. They're also on the endangered species list. So it really is a celebration, the healthy birth of these little guys here. So once they grow, they could be up to 10 feet long. Those Komodo dragons are pretty amazing. All right. Well, we're going to turn our attention from this back to the weather. So again, let's take this full, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about what else is coming up. And we're going to come back to what's next for Hampton Roads. Periods of rain today, a few afternoon storms. Certainly one of those things we're going to be monitoring. I mentioned we do have that level 1, just a level 1, but a level 1 threat for severe storms. More clouds coming up for the weekend, certainly tomorrow and early Sunday, but improvements late in the weekend, and then beautiful weather returns on Monday. Really excited about that. Yesterday's high was 64, 69 is normal, almost to 70 now. That's where we should be. We're going to stay much cooler than that over the weekend. We'll take a look here, a live sky view from the Thompson Creek Window Company. Still cloudy right now. We've seen some rain across the area. It's not a bad day, but we are dealing with the showers, so make sure you've got your umbrella handy and stay weather aware this afternoon as we do have that chance for storms. As you can see with the Futurecast, and again, we can look at this full, you'll notice that we do have the rain across the area, and the chances for those heavier cells, they may develop as we go through the mid to late afternoon. You can see a cell down here around Edenton, and then pushing up through the area over towards Virginia Beach by, say, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Could see a few heavier cells back up towards the eastern shore, back down around Isle of Wight and over towards Newport News. We'll see that stuff coming through. Then a little bit of a break heading into the evening, and you know, it's a big night tonight at the ballpark, Harbor Park. Tides baseball, Michael Vick, head coach of the Norfolk State Spartans. Got them out there. He's throwing the first pitch tonight. Hopefully it works out well for everybody going out to see that and be a part of that game tonight. At any rate, there's a chance. There's going to be some scattered showers, but it looks like at least the models have been hinting that we should get some drier weather around game time. So we'll see. Overnight, a few more isolated to scattered showers will be possible. And then tomorrow, we start off mostly cloudy with clearing skies coming up later in the weekend on Sunday. So hang in there. The weekend looking a little bit better late in the weekend. And then as we get into early next week, that's when it gets really, really nice. Temperatures today will top out again, upper 50s and low to mid 60s across the area. Tonight's low down around 47. Showers overnight. Evening storms will be possible mainly to the north. I think things are going to settle down pretty quickly. For tomorrow, isolated shower possible, cooler. That's the big news. 55 degrees. As we look forward, do want to let you know our tree pollen, this is another benefit to the rain. It is down a little bit. It's just moderate today. And I do want to let you know out on the water, we've got pretty good conditions, but you need to stay weather aware because if we do get a few stronger storms this afternoon, conditions will be locally worse. Now, over the next 7 days, we're going to find the temperatures cool through the weekend, but then warming up as we get into Monday, 76, sunshine. We're going to see, again, a chance for a few showers on Tuesday, but that's going to be down into North Carolina. And then as we look ahead to Wednesday and Thursday, upper 60s with sunny skies. It looks like it'll be pretty nice through the end of next week as well. I think another chance for showers coming up by the following Friday. All right, that's a look at our weather, guys. I want to remind you, you can stay in touch with our forecast by downloading the 13 News Now app. You'll find it there. Scan the QR code, and you can have access to our radar, to our forecast, everything right there at your fingertips on the go. Tell your friends about the 13 News Now app here, this streaming app. It's a great way to stay in touch with extended coverage. Hopefully you've been able to check things out and you're enjoying your stay with us here on the 13 News Now Plus app. We're going to continue to bring you today's top weather headlines each and every Monday through Friday right here from the Weather Desk. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Have a great weekend.